Hello everyone, this is Showtime 112. This is our second visit to the Ethiopian-Somali War, another forgotten African conflict of the 20th century known as the Ogaden War. In the first video, we gave an overview of the circumstances that led to the conflict and briefly summarized development of Ethiopian and Somali air forces. We'll just give a brief recap now and you can watch the older video for more details. The conflict started in July 1977 by Somali invasion. The purpose was to gain control of the region called Ogaden, which Somalia considered theirs, even though it was a part of internationally recognized territory of Ethiopia. Initially, Somali ground troops achieved success, taking control of large portions of the region. Ethiopia was at the same time fighting insurgencies in Eritrea and Ogaden itself, so it took them a couple of days to even realize that this was an external invasion and not just an insurgent offensive. Ethiopian advantage, however, was a superior air force. Being a close American ally until several years before the conflict, Ethiopian pilots received comprehensive training, and their most powerful assets were F-5E Tiger and older F-5A Freedom Fighter. Somalia, on the other hand, received Soviet equipment such as MiG-17 and MiG-21 fighters. Pilot training given by the Soviets was significantly inferior, and Ethiopian pilots quickly achieved air superiority. To make things worse for Somalia, Soviets would change sides just before and during the conflict, and they started supplying Ethiopia with fighters, tanks, and other weapons, while their support for Somalia was cut. But in mid-August 1977, Somali ground troops were advancing and Ethiopians were retreating. Somalis reached an important Ethiopian airbase at Dire Dawa. Many Ethiopian aircraft were then evacuated to Debre Zeit airbase, and they used Dire Dawa only for refueling. They flew many successful sorties, and Ethiopian fighter pilot Bezabi Petros scored his second confirmed victory by shooting down a Somali MiG-21 at that time. Details of the shootdown are unfortunately not known. Despite all this, Somali forces took control of the Dire Air Base and devastated it, along with some nearby factories. On 18 August 1977, Ethiopian forces launched a counterattack, heavily supported by aircraft flying from Debre Zeit. 16 Somali T-54 tanks were reportedly destroyed, along with 80% of other vehicles. The airbase was eventually recovered by Ethiopians. On 19 August, a single Somali MiG-21 appeared over Dire Dawa Air Base. An Ethiopian pilot, Afilur Kidanu, was vectored by ground control and he successfully intercepted a MiG, scoring his only confirmed kill of the war. Here too, details of the intercept are not known. On 21st August, Ethiopian ground personnel was flown to Dire Dawa along with several F-5s, while the fighting was still going on in the vicinity. F-5 pilots started flying multiple combat missions, as many as 7 or 8 a day. Somali ground forces retreated, often abandoning their equipment. Apart from the fighting over Dire Dawa, Ethiopian Air Force was engaged in supplying remote garrisons by their transport aircraft. They required fighter cover, and F-5Es would fly combat air patrols to defend the vulnerable transports. 2 pilots assigned to one such CAP mission at 21st August were Mengistu Kasai and Ashenafi Gebre Tzadik. Interestingly, they had recently both returned from the USSR, where they completed their MiG-21 conversion course. But the MiGs were not yet in Ethiopia, so they flew the American fighters. The flight leader, Mengistu Kasai, had a problem with his canopy, and that's why he took off half an hour later than his wingman, Ashenafi. When the 2 pilots finally joined on station, ground radar detected Somali MiGs approaching them. Ashenafi was now down to only 1,200 pounds of fuel, but he had to support his leader nevertheless. As the range between 2 groups was decreasing, Mengistu spotted the MiG-21s to his right. Moments later, Ashenafi spotted a 3rd MiG passing low below them. Mengistu chose to pursue the first pair, which now entered the climb. Ashenafi felt uncomfortable, knowing that the 3rd MiG might turn and attack them, but he remained at his leader's wing, giving him support. As soon as Mengistu called losing sight of the 2 Somali MiGs, Ashenafi immediately turned left to reacquire the 3rd MiG, which by now was in a high-speed climb. Ashenafi approached his opponent from the side and attempted to attack him with his guns. He missed. But it seems that the Somali pilot never spotted his attacker, because he just continued climbing. Ashenafi reversed and put his F-5 on the MiG's tail, right in the envelope of his AIM-9. The Somali pilot obviously never saw Ashenafi, whose radar was turned off and no warning was received from the raw gear leader. Ashenafi witnessed a large explosion as his missile hit the MiG. Now down to only 200 liters of fuel, Ashenafi climbed to 20,000 feet to save it. He pulled his throttles to idle and glided for a straight-in approach. His engines cut soon after touchdown. This wasn't the last kill for the Ethiopian pilots, but more on that in another video. I hope you liked this one. Be sure to press the like button if you did. Support the channel on Patreon if you're able to, and keep watching Showtime 112.